First of all, appreciate Steve being here with Land ID. It's still on my computer as MapRight. Whenever I first heard about it, probably, I guess 10 years ago. How long y'all been in business now? Okay, well, about the time I got into real estate. I went to, anyway, we appreciate y'all being here for Land ID. And Steve is, to me, the main owner, the one that I've always talked to. I went to a meeting whenever I first got into real estate. I went to a meeting that Steve was doing the demonstration, and MapRight, as it was called then, couldn't do, I guess, even a quarter of what it could. But what I saw was information that I could use to work with commercial accounts and actually find business. And it is my main go-to in finding clients, and it has worked for me. If I were doing residential, which I never want to do residential, but if I were doing residential, I would see it as a tool that can be used there as well. So I started using it. I would go to Steve and ask him, can this do such and such, or I need such and such, and you actually let me work in terms of just saying what I needed at times. And he started it seems like they've always been extremely responsive to what our needs were in terms of, parcel. You'll see so much on here. I use it in our classes. This is my number one go-to in terms of client development, and it's just amazing. Now, also, I will use this with my clients. I'll send them a map. I can update it on the fly with them. And now I have clients saying, can you send me that map thing? I don't want them buying it. I want them using mine on their computer, which I have that ability with this program. So anyway, I sincerely appreciate Steve coming and being with us. Mr. Bozart is the main man here, so I'm going to let him say what he's going to say.
I don't even know what that means. But that said, in our commercial division, we've had great growth in the last, I've been here for 16 years this year. I think we're coming up on 17 now. And that said, when I started off, we had a few loose cannons that came into the market center. Then we got Michael Butler, and he brought us some big experience. And Wayne Landine came in. And of course, in the last month, unfortunately, he wanted geography to work in his favor, and he wanted to be a little closer to his home. We've got the Maddoxes came in, and they said, Michael, we want to help unify the agents that are out there that want to get into commercial. They just don't have an outlet. They don't want to wait 9 years to grow to that next level. They want to do things at a little faster pace. And I was excited when you both came into our group, and you've done such a nice job. Now, that said, we've had 3 or 4 different names of different chapters within our commercial division, and we're changing that. We're going to have one unified name so that Seppi and Ada and everybody else, the 2 last ones always into the room, so that we have one group. You can still do your own stuff. There's no one that's going to be over you. I'm going to be the person that oversees to support you. Okay. Thank you, Mom. That's that kid's mom in the back who shows up on parent-teacher day going, no. So the PIE meetings, those are a critical piece of what we do, and it draws a lot of people. I've sat through one. and it moves sometimes maybe a little sluggish. Maybe it could be modernized, and that's what we're going to do as well. I want to have really strong meetings that make a difference where everybody gets to get heard expeditiously, but not cutting off. We want to hear what properties you have. I want our business brokers to be able to show what they've got as well. So we want to have a stronger meeting, more cohesive meeting, and that's how we're going to run them from now on. And I think it's going to be awesome. And I'm excited about moving forward within the commercial division. I'm here to support you guys, but things aren't really going to change. I'm just here as a support vehicle. I'm excited about our speaker today. A lot of good things about your product, and it certainly has evolved. I took a look at it about 7 years ago, and you've apparently added quite a bit. Yeah, that's good. This is your deal. Nice. Well, great job. Thank you for coming and speaking with us today. All right, guys. I'm always here for you. Thank you.
Okay, real quick, Steve, before we start. Infinity Title is our sponsor today for the refreshments. So I'm gonna give Kathy a moment to speak and to introduce you to Paul.
Thank you, Clara. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Keller Williams, for allowing us to be here today. Kathy Crittenden, I'm over the sales and marketing with Infinity Title. Yes, I've made a change and it's been fantastic. Our office is right over there at 950 Echo Lane. Put it in Google Maps. It'll drop you at our front door. First floor, plenty of parking. We can't wait to see everyone. A quick thing about our company, we were started in 2007, so we have survived it all and we are still thriving. One of the things I love about our office is the fact that we have an in-house, help me out. Why did I just lose the word? Examiner. Thank you. We have an in-house examiner that will help us with examinations. Also, our underwriters, we have two. We have Fidelity and First American. Back in the day, it would be difficult. Sometimes I'd lose a transaction because for whatever reason, one underwriter wasn't able to work it. So I would lose it. But with Fidelity and First American, two of the best in the industry, it stays under our roof. Most times we don't have any issues. And so I love that about our team as well. I have 3 escrow officers. My branch manager and senior escrow officer is Josh Green. Also, I have Brandon Lopez and Amanda Martinez. Everybody that knows me from the past, value, value, value. I love to bring value. If you're in front of me, there's always going to be something that you're going to learn. We are revamping our website. Just stay tuned for June on for our phenomenal trainings, speaker opportunities. I work with the best of every district. And so to come and learn what's happening in downtown, midtown, Buffalo Bayou Parks, all of those things are coming. So stay tuned. Joining me today, and I just wanted to give him a quick shout out and have him come up. It's Paul. He's the attorney in-house with our company. And I would just love for you to talk and tell them. And he's going to be here the end of August. I forget the date, but it'll be the last commercial meeting of August, and he'll be doing divorce and wills, death and divorce. I'll turn it over.
Two subjects that go together so well. Steve, I'll be quick because I teach a lot and I can't stand for the shout outs to cut into my class time too much. So we're good on time. Thanks for the Maddoxes and Kathy for the introduction. I'm Paul Caver. I'm the real estate attorney at Infinity Title. I owned it for years. I started it in 2007, grew it to over 1,000 closings a year. We were always thought of as a large boutique. More residential because I just knew more residential agents. You close what they bring you, so we got more residential deals. You hadn't seen me much for several years because I quit marketing. I was always too cheap to have a good marketing person. I did it myself. I did it through MCE classes for realtors. But again, when you get to 1,000 closings a year, and it was just me, the 100% owner, trying to close most of them myself, there's only so many hours in the day. So I loved good commercial deals when I would get them. Now with the new ownership group, I sold about 1.5 years ago. Everyone's got the same energy of her. It's amazing. I was all burned out, worn out. So it's a lot of fun. I've got time and room on my plate now for commercial more than ever. I closed a $80 million set of apartments a couple of years ago for Greystar. That was a lot of fun. We can handle it now. We've got the bandwidth. The residential side does great. They crank them. They hardly ever need me. just the hard underwriting questions, legal docs. That frees me up a lot to handle the juicier commercial deals now. Attorneys are funny. Once the attorneys on a commercial deal figure out that, yeah, I'm triple board certified in real estate, so what? That doesn't mean as much as the kind of deals you've done. I've got the experience. But once the attorney figure out I'm not going to take over their deal or cut into their billable hours or control freak the deal from the title side, they actually like having a real estate attorney there at the title company. Just another set of legal eyes, if you will. So it actually works out real well. But at first, they're very skeptical. Wait a minute, the title guy is also a real estate attorney? But anyway, we can take care of any kind of deal you got. I assure you, we close them all. So that was my pitch. Thanks for coming today. I am going to be back to teach in August. Hope to see some of you guys then. Steve, did you get a clock on that? I hope I didn't cut you back too much. Thanks for having us.
Claire, do you want to do these after or right now?
You'll do
You'll have to
the
sit
drawing.
This is on now, right? Okay. I have a 2.5-year-old. So at this point in time, I can walk through a room with every like known cold disease known to man and be fine, but he got me last week. So sorry you have to suffer through my voice today. I do feel fine though. So all good there. My brain is here. It's just painful to listen to me talk. So apologize. My name is Steve Robertson. I'm with LandID, and we're a web and mobile-based mapping application that's focused on real estate. And what we focus on is giving you the identity of properties really fast and really easy, both on your mobile device and on your computer. And they're synced together. How many people here use LandID? Okay, great, awesome. Yeah, just real fast. I don't think I've talked to you since I did the rebranding, right? So we used to be called MapRight, and just a little background on the rebranding. So, a couple of years ago, we changed the name from MapRight to LandID, and the reason was I was sitting up late one night and I said, Steve, you have a successful business. What can you do to jeopardize that? And rebranding, changing the company name seemed like a really great way to throw everything into chaos. Glad that's over with. So we can get back to making new things with the product. Our website is id.land. So we're a bit dyslexic on the name of the company and the website. Backstory on that is the person that owns landid.com is an unreasonable man. Is that you? No, very reasonable. He would not sell that domain for a very generous price. Therefore, we're id.land. Okay. If you haven't, it sounds like a lot of you use LandID already. But if you haven't, you can go here and you can click on the try for free and you can sign up for a free 7-day trial. We do have a discount for Keller Williams folks on our Pro Unlimited plans. So if you, in the discount code, if you put in KW-2024, that'll apply 25% off of our Pro Unlimited plans. Okay. So I'm actually going to get started on the mobile device.
It looks like Steve. He doesn't know he was. Aren't we glad that he he's dressed?
If only he knew.
Just glad that he's
Okay.
Richard, is that your cell phone?
Yes. All right, so first of all, I'm going to go over some basics and some new things that we've released very recently that I want you to be aware of. Um, one of those is our Discover map. So and the mobile app is included in your subscription. Okay, so remember they're synced together. If I create a map on the computer, I can pull it up on my phone. I can actually create a map from my phone and I can then access it through my computer, and we're going to do just that. So when I first open up the Land ID mobile app, what I want to pay attention to first is I've got this navigation bar at the bottom, and you can see by default you're going to be on the Discover map. Okay, so that's something that's relatively new is our Discover map, and I'll go into that further. We actually have a plan called the Discover plan. If you don't need to create maps, you just need to access our data. It's $80 a year. It's very cheap. You can see it'll also zoom in on your current location. So that's me, the blue dot right there. And wherever I'm going around and whatever I click on, so if I zoom in, I can click on the property we're in. It's going to highlight it in blue and it's going to pull up this property card. Okay, so whenever you're driving around, do you want to see, who owns the property across the street or whatever? It's super easy to do. You just pull it up, see yourself in real time, tap on that property. That's going to pull up this property card, and we can slide that up and down with our thumb. And we're on the first tab here, so parcel overview, and that's going to give us information regarding, who owns the property, what's their address. We have 3 major categories as we go down. So land information, that'll give us assessed value. It'll give us land use type. We are adding in zoning later this year, but I realize Houston doesn't really have zoning, so it doesn't matter. Yes. We also would expect before the end of the year that we'll give you access to pull phone numbers and emails in addition to addresses for the owners. Okay, yeah, that's coming. All right, so land information, if we scroll down below that, we'll go into parcel and tax information. This is going to show us tax information, but if we have information regarding a sales date and sales price, we'll show you that. Now, I do want to make you aware that you're going to find an estimated amount. Like I'll show you on the web. We'll go look for a property. And Texas is a non-reporting state, so a lot of the sales prices that you see in any application, including ours, are going to be estimated. And I'll show you where you can find that because that's going to be very important because that does not mean that that's a fully recorded sale then. Okay. We'll also show you information regarding mortgages, title companies, things like that. Below that, it will give you information on any structures improvements on the property.
Is this what you're showing us our building?
Yeah. You just zoom in and you tap, just tap on it. Tap on any property. Yes.
Steve, I've been using this for starting. And the issue, and I have 2 applications. I have Land Glide and Land ID.
Yep.
The reason why I keep Land Glide and I mean, I've used with this, and I use this on occasion. The reason why I've kept it separate because the loading, I'm not interested when I'm driving around pulling up the tax information. I'm trying to be able to record that location and then move on. Which with Land ID, I know you can go ahead and do the same where you're saving the property and move on. Is there anything faster? I know it's been an issue in the past
Yeah, sure. So when you tap on a property, you can see we have these three buttons right here. So on the Discover map, you can drop a waypoint, essentially favorite. So boom, you could write a note about it if you wanted to, so that you knew why you dropped a waypoint. Hit save change is going to drop a red point on your Discover map.
Okay, I didn't see how you did
I
that.
did it a few years ago. I don't know how I did it. And I haven't used it since before you can take a picture of the property.
Yeah. So when here, I'll delete this waypoint real fast. No, I do. I definitely do. That's one of my favorite things. Okay, so look, if we're driving around and we just, with the Discover map, you can kind of build out your own internal database, just like you were describing, right? We can do that a couple different ways. So if we're on a pro plan, we can hit create a map. It sounds like that's not really necessary a lot of times. So the add a waypoint, if you tap onto that, you can see you have two things. So you can write a little note about it if you want. Then you can hit add photo. That'll go into your camera. And you can take up to 5 photos at a time and hit done. It'll just load those photos, hit save changes. And then when you tap on that waypoint again, the photos and your notes will pop back up. That way, you know why you dropped a waypoint, right? Now, you don't have to add photos or notes. You could just drop a waypoint, but that's how you do it. So you see now when I tap on that waypoint, that shows up. Does that make sense?
But if you're using the mark, working in your Italian properties, if you create additional maps,
No.
and then keep complete those, once what I'm usually at that property, I go back, I upload them to my CRM so that I can start putting them into a drip campaign file.
Yeah.
And
This is why we created the Discover map, because you used to have to go and create a map to do that. So you notice like when I just open up the app, it goes straight to my Discover map, automatically zooms in right where I'm at. And then it's as easy as, anything that I want to record on the Discover map, I tap, hit add waypoint, add notes or photos, and it'll drop a new waypoint on the map. On my Discover map, right? And that's on my computer now too, my Discover map. So I'll show you how that works. Yeah, so any property I tap on, you see this button right here, waypoint? Just tap that, it'll drop a waypoint right on the property. Not just potentially.
there's so much information that was trying to, when I'm out in the field and marking, I don't want to be, usually I'm by myself, so I'm pulling over on the side of the road, trying to go hit it and keep moving versus become a nuisance.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you tell me, like you tap on a property, hit add waypoint, and then pretty easy, right? Sure. Yeah, sure. I will get to it all.
If you're gonna ask a question, please find the mic. Our people who are online can't hear what you're asking.
Gotcha.
I have one if somebody needs it.
Oh, no, you're fine. Good questions. Okay, so, we tapped on this property, right? And we can pull up all the information. We can drop a waypoint. But I want you to be aware that we've made it really easy for you to find additional information too. So we have these other tabs to the right now. So if I want to tab over here, and I probably have to zoom out, I'm in. It's going to change the theme of the map. So now what I'm looking at is any surface water, floodplain, wetlands. If I wanted to, I could turn on water wells here. I could tap on a water well, gives me the information on it. I could hit more information, it would pull up the actual well log. If I wanted to see what type of floodplain it was, I just tap on it to show me the floodplain. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? So any property you tap on, you know, a lot of the apps that you use, they'll just give you this, right? It'll give you the like who owns it and how much taxes that they paid. What we just released is this, and it's pulling forward all of our other data sets to make those easily accessible to you. So you can keep tabbing, you can go to outdoors, and this is going to give you elevation, contour lines, any public lands. If I go to boundaries, this is going to give us land use. So, you know, yellow's residential, red's commercial, purple's industrial, gray's vacant. I could also turn on city limits, school information, opportunity zones, zip codes, conservation easements, water districts. Like major employers.
Often when people inquired about the land acquisition, they ask about targeted employment area. And I know there's one website, actually my title company sent me the map, but does your land ID has that showing?
No, I have not heard of that, but that's, you know, if we can find it, we can put it in. Okay.
Developments are usually incentivized by government.
Okay.
In that,
Opportunity zones?
Isn't that opportunity zones?
Some of these layers, you know, I'm not sure how much you care. So soils. Yeah. Now, additional values we're adding into soils is going to be the hydric value and depth of water table. I can give you information on how expensive foundations are going to be to build out. Infrastructure, so this will show you pipelines, oil wells, transmission lines, substations, airports, railroads, solar farms, wind farms.
The information for the infrastructure and the soil, where does it feed from?
Where does the soil come from? It comes from Surgo. I usually like to say it comes from me. I actually on a computer and I'm drawing that out, and then I wait for how long it takes people to realize I'm joking. All of these layers are coming from, we're not making this stuff up. I promise you. Nearby, one of the things that I like is the housing development one. I'll show you that on the computer too, but that's tracking the top 350 home developers. Let me turn off the points of interest. Anytime you see one of those little houses and you tap on them, that'll show you the main builder of that neighborhood. You can actually go into the development's website. So once again, those little houses represent active home building developments. It's nearby. It's the last one. Yes. Okay. So that came out like 2 weeks ago. Having the additional tabs out there to where, you know, I'll show you. You can access those a la carte in the bottom right underneath those stacked squares. So that'll give you different base maps, and then you can see map overlays down below that. But for a lot of people, that's a lot of stuff to go through and to tap on. Remember to have to turn it off. Where now you can just tap on a property, and it's just the same thing as really the parcel overview card, and it makes it easy for you to just cycle through those different tabs. Okay.
why am I not getting our license?
And I can't figure out how to find it for a moment.
There you go.
Can I ask a question about, is
Yes.
this set up on an enterprise where you could have multiple users on one account?
We're not fans of that.
Of course you're not, but if you could have a larger subscription base for a higher price,
we're open to that. Yeah,
Yeah, I figured you would be on that.
yeah, definitely.
So where are you at on the dynamic pricing? It's one per person. But if we could get something put in place that everybody in commercial would have access to it, that's what I'm looking for.
Absolutely. We do that all the time. We would love to do that.
That's something you want to discuss at a later date?
Yeah, I'll discuss it whenever you want, but
All right, how about
Oh.
give me the 30-second abridged version?
Well, we have individual pricing, then we have small groups, and then we have corporate plans. And so corporate plans comes with a discounted rate. And we just need to understand how many people will be accessing an account or want their own account.
Let's go ahead and say 30 people.
Right. So you would get our Pro Unlimiteds at essentially $500 a year. That's the one we discount off of. Okay. I want to recap again, right? When we open up the phone, because this is one of the biggest things I see confusing people, especially on the pro plans, is remember you have this navigation here on the Discover map. Now, if you want to go into your individual pro maps you've created, you go to My Maps. Now, we're not going to go there right now, but it's important to understand the distinction. Okay. A few other things that you can do when you click on a property. So we have the add waypoint, right? Right next to it is driving directions. So if I tap directions, that will then take me into an option to get driving directions to the property. And it takes me to a latitude, longitude, not an address. So I don't have to worry about, especially, rural areas, things like that. I don't have to worry about going to the wrong place. Okay. And then finally, our third option is that create map option. Okay. So the create map, if we're on that pro plan, the Pro Unlimited plan, all we have to do to create a specific map of this that we could then share with somebody, or we could embed into a website, is we hit create map right there. It's going to show us, the property that we're making a map of. It'll by default give the map the address name, and then we just hit create and it'll make the map for us. Okay, so we've really, hopefully you would agree, we've streamlined the map creation process out of mobile app. Now, we're not done with that, but that is a huge leap forward from where it was before. Okay, so now I'm into my pro map. And here's the biggest distinction. I now have this button down here in the bottom right, the blue pencil ruler. If you see that, you're on a pro level map. If you do not see that, you're on a Discover map. I cannot stress that enough. That's your clue.
So that's the part, even though we have the plans for unlimited,
Okay,
it keep asking me to upgrade when I'm creating maps because I already have a map.
okay,
That's the part that we need to get past fixed. A lot of people have the problem here.
okay. I'll look. I have to pull up your account. That should be an easy fix though. Yeah. By the way, if that's going on, you should reach out to support and we'll fix it for you. Don't suffer. That's good, I think. This little blue button right here, if you tap that, that's going to open up your drawing tools. For me, like the two high profile things that I can't do on my computer that I can do out on site is the photo option. So once again, if I tap that photo option, I can do where I'm standing, takes me into my camera. I can take up to 5 photos at a time. I hit done, it'll drop a photo point right where I'm standing. Now I'm not standing on this property, so it's going to show up back on, you'll see it'll zoom out. So now I have that photo point right there with the photos. Another thing that I'll show you is, so right here, if you hit this little target, that's going to show your real-time location, right? If you double tap it, it'll work like a compass if you had to walk someplace. You see how it moves? Double tap to do that. You can go into 3D, but we live in Houston, so we're already in 3D and 2D. Houston is flat. Okay, thank you. How many of you all is cell coverage a problem? Like you go out to an area and you have no cell coverage? Is that an issue for anybody? Yes? Okay. Look, so if you want, when you go out, before you go out to a property, you can pull up your map and you can save it for offline use. Offline, so you can use it completely offline. You can use it in airplane mode. And you can take photos, you can do everything that you want. What you're going to do is you pull up this map on your device that you're going to go out there with. You tap on the 3 bars in the top right, and you can see we have a lot of different options here. So like we can get driving directions right there. Towards the bottom, store for offline. So if you do store for offline right here, visible area is going to be fine. That's going to save what you see on your screen for offline use. It'll then take you into a menu where you can save all of your different layers for offline. So you just toggle over what you'd want to use offline. Topo, floodplain, whatever you want to use. And then you do save for offline map. It'll save it through. So you can see it's saving it through. And here's the second important step is that if you've saved it for offline and you go out there and you feel like the app's running slow, let's say you're going in and out of service, what you need to do is you need to tap on that little Wi-Fi button in the top right. That will then trigger it to say, stop trying to live feed from the outside world, use what I've saved for offline. Then you tap it when you're done, you get back in and it'll say, hey, save the stuff you did completely offline. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. It is being recorded. And you can listen to my voice over and over. Okay, look, so before I jump back to web, again, right, we start on Discover. You saw, if I go to my maps, that's going to access all of my individual maps that I've created as a pro level. That's what you're used to. So remember, that's how you make it. You'll always start on Discover, though.
Oh, get it right, too. And I'm trying- Yes. Yes, I'm trying to get right. You have to create a map.
Oh,
You don't, then when you're finished work in an area and you're into Discover mode, how does it link to a map? Or when you get back to your computer and you want to upload the map and look at the map where you were working today? What's the interface there?
it's a good question. That's fine. Let's go check it out. Okay, so now I'm gonna log into my web account. Dude. At the top of your screen, you have Discover Map, My Maps, prints and reports. So to answer your question, you just go to Discover Map and your waypoints will be right there. Here's the photos we took. If we had notes, they would be right there.
Take those and then create put those into a map. And then like the discover cleaned out, so. You know, if I had, one point I have with Lang Live. And I've got places out that forever. I'm wanting to, market those in my computer and then start working in one. Discover, is there a purpose for that, or would you take this and put it into an area map?
Yeah, I mean, you would just have to manage your waypoints right now. I can tell you what we're going to change that to is favoriting and advanced searches to then allow you to create maps from groups. And then at that point, you'd be able to do whatever you want. So where we're headed is, this is what we're exploring right now. Utilizing essentially, I know it's such a catchy thing and I cringe even when I say it, but we're using AI in our search advancement right now to make it really natural language. That way you could just say, hey, in Houston, show me all the properties that have a commercial land use that are 5 to 7 acres that have at least 300 feet of frontage on a major road. And it would just go identify all of those properties. And then you could make a map of all of those properties. And you could call it, map of blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We're just not there yet. So we're starting with waypoints. But that's still a major advancement, right? Yeah.
This builder houses, like, can we select on the map and track the list of particular information?
Yeah.
Okay, so I really like this builder feature, the yellow houses.
Mhm.
I even managed to get it, but I would like to simultaneously extract the information, let's say on the draw that I'm doing of the area, like can it populate the report of the information, particular information?
Yeah, you can pull mailer lists. I'll show you that in a little bit. But yes, pull those as CSVs. All right. So just to show you, right? So it syncs, right? You add waypoints. Same thing. Look, I can click on a property here. I've got the ability, now I'm in my Discover map, right? Remember at the top, we're moving to this. Now, where we're headed with this really is, you'll still be able to access your list of maps, but at the end of the day, we're going to have all map creation start from the Discover map. So what our concept is this will be like your map of maps, and it will actually be a map-based dashboard too, to show your individual maps. So you can imagine on your Discover map, you would have unique pins that would signify where previous maps that you had created existed. And you could click on that and access those individual maps. So we're trying to unify the individual map creation with the Discover map and not make this so disjointed. I'll stop going down that rabbit hole.
It's coming later discussion that I was going to get into is what is the purpose of using multiple maps when you have the use of attributes and you can sort by attributes? So basically, can you use one map and create an attribute to sort by that and pull up what you've done? Is that almost the same concept?
Yeah, but you already described the problem earlier where you have what happens is, so if I just had you create all of your maps in this one map, and then it was just like the maps just exist in one map, because that's what everybody else does. And there's a reason why. It makes it a lot more straightforward. And actually, the average person doesn't it doesn't compute that like there could be different maps. They just think of one map, kind of like Google Earth is one map. And so trying to live in that paradigm, but not create a rat's nest of data for you. So just like you said, you'll have points on Landglide that you made like 9 years ago that you don't care about at all. So can we allow you to build out very specific maps, because you also want to build out very specific maps to use for very specific things that you don't want to show other parts of your kind of master map to. But can we do this and keep it really clean? So you basically click on properties and you create a map out of that, and then it goes back into your Discover map, but it leads like a clean dot that indicates there's a map that's created there, and you click on that to pull up that actual map. That way you don't just have like 9,000 lines on your map, 8,000 waypoints, and it's just a rat's nest that even you can't understand eventually, much less share with somebody. Does that make sense? There's a real nuance to like how you weave those together, though. But that's what we're going for. A controlled master map experience with individual map creation. Apologize for everybody that's not familiar with Land ID. That's going way down the rabbit hole. Okay, so we're back on the Discover map on our web. Once again, we see that that it's synced together. Okay, and just real fast, like same concept. I can click on a property, and you see it highlights it in blue, and on the left side that pulls up that property card. And I have these tabs, so I can go through these different tabs if I want to, but at the same time, if I keep going down, okay, so real fast. You see how we have a price sold for right there? You see all the way down here, it says estimated. First of all, I keep telling them they need to move estimated right up here. Nobody's going to make that connection. When you see estimated, that means that price is not, solid concrete. You're going to see that a lot in Texas. Just want everybody to be aware. Be aware that all comps that you get from a third party are going to be estimated, right? Now, as I keep going, you'll see that once again, I can either cycle through these over here, or if I just keep scrolling, it'll change to same thing, right? So as I zoom out, you can see it changes on the map. If I want to learn about what I'm looking at, I just click into it. It's going to show me that information. Contour lines, federal state lands. So if I want to see what this is, it's Memorial Park. We're going to land use now. We just have it optimized to where if I'm zoomed out like this, you notice that the parcel's kind of zoomed out and we're only seeing bigger parcels. Now, all I need to do is I zoom in and you'll start to see the population fill for land use too. It's just a way to kind of handle performance on the map. City limits, there's your city limits, school information, opportunity zones. Zoom out further. There's opportunity zones, water districts. Do you all care about CCNs? That's in Texas too, and you can click on those. Certificates of convenience and necessity. I bring that up because we had commercial folks ask for this layer. And I'm not totally sure what it's related to water. So all you have to do is click on a property. You can cycle through all of this. So here's all of your major transmission lines. You can click on those. Same thing with substations. Maybe you're working with data centers. I know that's a big thing right now. Data centers care a whole lot about that. Transmission lines and substations. And then if we go back here, this is, once again, that housing development layer. This can be really good, in a major city, when we're in a major city. If we zoom out, these little houses can kind of show you where the city's expanding, wherever they're building houses, right? Corridors of growth. A lot of growth up north. Okay, yes.
Steve, can I ask a question?
Uh,
When you're using the housing developments, the proposed and all of that good stuff, if we find in some of the outlying areas, example, I was putting together a marketing map for a 30-acre tract that we've taken a listing on in Waller. And I wanted to show all of the subdivisions that are coming that, obviously are recorded with the county and y'all can pull information on. There were a couple where the icons were way off from where the thing actually was.
Yeah.
Is that something I can like just send a support and say, hey, just an
Yeah.
FYI here, this is?
Please do.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. We get that from another data person. So, and that's not surprising. I mean, they're tracking nationwide. Yeah. Same idea with the Discover map, right? If we wanted to create a map out of this, we just hit create map. It's going to create the map on the pro level. Okay, so you can create a map out of Discover. You can add waypoints here too. Does that make sense to everybody? Steve? Yeah.
Sure how to get nearby on the computer, because in the phone it was in the computer and lost.
Yeah, so once again, you can pull them up a la carte through the overlays in the top right. You can pull up all those layers kind of a la carte there. And then housing developments is where you pull that up.
Oh, but the trial version.
Steve, those housing development symbols, do they recognize the name of the company that's building in those? In that area?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, they do. Let me go turn on. So you see when I click on any of these, tells me it's Meritage Homes.
okay, good.
It'll, a lot of times it can give you price range and you can click into the development website.
Okay.
Too. Does that answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Great. All right, so remember, click on a parcel, you cycle through it, it'll pull up the different overlays, but you can always just go up to the top right and click on overlays as well and turn them on. That's the way it used to be. It still is. We just have a new little wrinkle to it. Everybody, does that follow kind of like everybody understand what the Discover map is? It's just like a really simple way to access our data and to drop, just quick waypoints for quick recording as you're driving around. Like that's really its intention, is exactly that. I remember vividly the conversation I had with you like 4 years ago, where you said you wanted just that. That's why when you brought all that stuff up, I felt confident that I did have a solution for you, because it was based off of that conversation. That's exactly why photo taking and notes is in there, because I remember you saying Landglide didn't allow you to do that, right? Everybody understand how to access the Discover map on your computer. It's up at the top, and on the phone, it's the first thing that loads. Yes, questions? Oh, perfect. Did I recently win?
Put overlays on the right.
So you got to think we're on this is the big difference. This is the Discover map. So you'll see that overlays is on the left in the Pro map.
Okay.
So look at the top, on the top bar. It'd be a little more confusing on the web, because it doesn't, when you open up the application, it doesn't go straight to the Discover map right now. That will change. It will go straight into the Discover map eventually, just like it does on your phone. Real fast. We have a variety of ways to search for properties. So we can search by an address or a town or county here in this drop down. So if we just hit that drop down, we can also search by a lat long. Ignore TRS. You can search by abstracts. And then we can also search for a specific ID or APN. Or some of my favorites are the owner name. So if we're looking for somebody that owns multiple properties in a county or counties, we can just search by their owner name. It'll go find all of their properties.
Say that again.
Yeah, look, so if I go to owner name and let's do, you gotta remember this one. Let's do Williamson and Travis. So I just click on that owner. When I hit go, it's gonna go find all their properties in Williamson and Travis County.
And the boundaries of it.
Mhm.
The Samsung Austin.
Yep.
It shows the best parts.
Yeah, if I can click into a specific one and it'll zoom me in to see the specifics on that one. So look, just to recap, right, up here in the top left, and we're on our Discover top left, you can do this on your Pro map. You're on address, you just have to hit the drop down and go to parcels and do owner name. And you just type in the county or counties, and it's a smart search as you start to put it in. You just click on that county. If you want to do another one, you can click, you just start typing again, and then you're going to type in the owner name.
Sometimes the owners will assign a different name. Sometimes the owners will assign a different name to each parcel. So are you able, you can do the address of that owner then too.
Yeah, that's we have the owner address search in there. Is a lot of times they'll still have the mailing address be the same. So that's why that owner address exists. We are actively seeing if we can drill down into real owner names of LLCs and things like that too, but that's been hard to crack for everybody. Okay, so look, at the top of my navigation bar, I'm going to go back to my maps. That's going to take me back to my dashboard. And this is what we're used to, right? Is when we first log in, we're always going to this page right now, right? So this is all of our maps that we've created. They're all going to be there. And I'm going to point out a few things in the dashboard that I want you to be aware of. First and foremost, up in the top right of the dashboard is your account options. And if you go to account details, this is where you can put in the branding for all of your maps. So you can add your branding to all of your interactive maps and all of your print maps moving forward. It takes you about 2 minutes. And this is something that is really high value, very easy for you to do. Take credit for the maps that you're making. I know, with Farm and Ranch, I can make a very strong case that a property that gets sold, the map of all the things that they create, the drone videos, the write-ups, the photos. If they make a decent map, that map usually hangs around. It gets used by the new owner or the manager of that property. Might not happen as great of a ratio to you all, but you never know, right? Like you never know. If you make a decent map, people tend to hang on to that of their brand new property. Just 'cause they don't have one. I mean, I get it. Like if it's 1 acre and it's got, a 7-Eleven on it, I'm not sure, how long they'll hang on to that map. But regardless, this is a branding opportunity for you. You look at maps as an analytical marketing tool, and it's super easy to do that. You just hit edit profile. And you fill this out and you upload your logo right there. That's all you gotta do. It'll be on all your maps moving forward. It's just another way for you to get the word out about yourself, because maps are, if you use it correctly, the people that I see that get the most out of Land ID, they use it to help brand themselves and to get bigger and better listings. It's not just like I make a map once I get the listing to market it. I make a map before I ever walk into that office or that living room to try and get the listing. I'm going to pull that up on my iPad, and I'm going to have gone through the overlays, pulled up any kind of interesting aspects of that property. So I know if there's wetlands on it, I know there's floodplain on it, things like that. Is there a transmission line running through it? Because then it looks like I did my homework, and it took me like 5 minutes to do that. But I don't know how much it increases the odds of you getting the listing, but it certainly doesn't hurt, right? How many of you all do that? How many of you all, when you're going into listing appointments, do you pull up an interactive map of the property? Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, perfect. No, that's perfect. So this proves my point, and I swear to you, I do these classes all over the US with all different types of real estate folks. This is the ratio. Like 1 out of 30. You people are like some of the best that are out there. Think what the average is when we bring in the general population of real estate folks. It goes even lower. I'm not going to tell you like, oh, if you do that, you're definitely going to get the listing. I know I'm not dumb enough to say that. I realize a lot more comes into it, but it's a way to differentiate yourself, and it takes you 5 minutes to do that. Maybe you learn more about it. Map can be an excuse to have a unique and intelligent conversation about a property with minimal effort.
Steve, I have people who say, can you send me that map thing? And I can send it to them in an email. They can pull up their end, I can pull up my end, and we can discuss it over the phone,
Right.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I can change it on my end,
Yep. And they can
And-
see the update.
hit the update, they reload,
Yep.
and they see the same thing as I do.
Correct. Yeah, that's a great thing. The interactive maps, they update in real time. So if you're, just like Steve was saying, I'll show you actually.
Can you show how we share the map?
Yeah, absolutely. One other quick thing that's kind of random, but I want you to be aware of is over here on this, the default base layer. If you prefer another aerial to load when you create a map, you can switch this to a different aerial or background if you wanted to. Yes.
Before you get into the sharing, I just have three quick questions. You mentioned throughout the US, does this work in other states?
Oh, yeah.
So the license that we get here, I could be in Wyoming and be able to do that?
Nationwide.
And how current is all the data that's presented in this process?
That is a hard question to answer.
I know we'll stay in Houston area in Texas here, but I mean, like boundaries.
Yeah, so we get our property data comes from CoreLogic and Black Knight, and we get monthly updates from them. Doesn't mean they update every county every month, though. In big metropolitan areas like this, the updates come pretty fast, though. But our cadence is a monthly.
My next question, you mentioned you can pull up MUDs. Does it pull up PIDs also, public improvement districts? And when it pulls up the MUD or the PID, does it give more detailed information about a specific MUD?
No, I need to write this down. Those are layers that we are looking to add, because I heard I was doing that. I was doing a class a couple months ago, and somebody asked about PIDs and MUDs.
Well, it's certainly a very powerful tool. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right, PIDs. And then what was the opportunity zone type thing? What was it? Targeted TERS? Well,
That's a county incentive, something zone. I don't have it.
So, yeah, all right. Incentive. Okay, I'll figure it out. Yeah, so our goal with Land ID is not to just, you can see like that's occurring with this card. Our goal isn't to just like continue to build layers and you have like a 200 list layer, then you have to go find the 10 that you care about to go turn them on. We're trying to synthesize this data. So like the next step would be, and when you click on a property, we'll actually kind of run an analysis on all of our overlays and only show you the stuff that's relevant. And we'll summarize it for you too. So we're not done yet. It's just a major step forward. Yeah.
Real quick, with regard to the PIDs and the MUDs, as realtors, we're required by the state to provide the documentation, have the seller sign it and then deliver it to the buyers, et cetera, et cetera. That's the need for the PID information, because sometimes they'll develop, the seller may not even realize if they're selling mid-tax year and it's a new PID, it's recorded with the state and the county, but they may not be aware of it because they haven't been taxed on it yet. But one of the things that I wanted to ask about when you're in your maps, that I thought was pretty neat, when you're creating your new maps, have you shown them the feature palette as far as the feature set, the difference between the ranching and the urban?
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna,
Because that is, for the residential realtors, we have a lot of blended realtors in
Sure.
here right now. And that is a wonderful thing that you put in there.
yeah, no, I'll get to that. That's a good entryway into like pulling up specific map creation. Okay, one random thing I want to show you all, just so you're aware, is below, these are all the maps that we've created. If you needed to merge two maps together to create a new map, you can do that. So to the right of each of your maps, you have a series of buttons. The three dots there, you can go to merge and you can merge two maps together and create a new map with both of those, just so you're aware.
Good.
All right, so old school, if I want to, by the way, just to show you, those are the maps that we made today from my phone. Yeah. Remember that map we made at the beginning? If I want to just create a new map out of my computer, I hit create new map. Do it in Texas. It shows what? No, we'll work on adding that in.
We've got the water districts.
You do.
Those are
Are they?
municipal utilities. Yeah, for the most part, your water districts are
You could use them, like,
the MUDs and water districts in a lot of cases are interchangeable. That
Yeah.
Designation.
We've got the MUDs.
There you go, MUD.
so you don't have to work, you can take that off your list.
That's great. No, it's always a welcome surprise when I already have it. Okay. Everybody following along so far? Like I've concentrated really on the Discover map right now, but I'm moving into the Pro map. So you see the difference in the layout on the Pro map? Like our overlays are over here now, right? Remember on Discover, they show up over here.
You also have.
Yeah.
Is it possible to see dimensions on the land? We get all this information. How about dimensions?
Yeah, that's something we're going to add. We don't have that right now.
Okay.
Like the perimeter dimensions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can roll it and you can get it.
I know, but I mean, we'll automate it and actually show you. Yeah.
I love the attitude.
I know you don't want to do that. Neither do I.
You were saying, in terms of base map, I was gonna say, it depends on when the satellite picture is taken
Mhm.
over that area.
Yeah.
Like Hex Aerial and Google
Yep.
Earth. And there are times if you just go toggle from one to the other, you can take your base map and find hex is a little bit more recent as
Yeah.
to what took place.
Yep.
So I just for people to know.
Yeah, the base maps are super important. They're right there down the left side. I'm gonna go through map creation first and then go over that. We're actually adding in a different aerial in the coming months called Vexcel that has as high a resolution as like Google. And it updates urban areas, I think like 4 times a year. Yeah. We're excited about that. And even eventually we'll have the ability for you to create obliques, like angled down that are in 3D too. Yeah.
Do you,
The building,
don't you have,
the buildings will be in 3D.
don't you have topography as well now?
Yeah, yep,
Can you show us on, just in case?
yeah. We're actually building out, now unfortunately, Texas is super fragmented, and it goes county by county with that. But we're building out 1 to 2 foot contours in a lot of states right now. And we'll probably, once we're done with the states that have that available, we'll come to Texas and see, like Austin has 1 foot contours. I'm sure Houston has 1 or 2 foot contours. We'll build that out as well. So there's 2 ways to access that. You know, once again, right, we can click on any property, pulls up the property card. And if you go to outdoors, you know, there's one way where you can turn on the contours. And remember, you can also do this through the overlays down the left side. And you can turn on the contours that way. And, you know, there's no reason you can't go into 3D too with the contours on. In Houston, I mean, it's going to be hard to see much elevation change, but it's there. I mean, you can even see this is a depression that you can see in 3D. Certainly a lot more dramatic if we're in Colorado or something like that. But yeah, the 3D is detailed enough to give you, it can really accentuate with the contours to show you even little depressions like that. It's funny, the first person that told me that they had a property bought sight unseen that was using like the contour stuff was someplace in Iowa. That was like that, where, you know, flattest place on the planet. And it was just a little depression off of a bluff, but just being able to visualize that in 3D with the contour combination. Okay, I want to show on the pro plan, there's a little nuance here. So if I want to save a boundary here, I just click this blue button that says save boundary. I'm good with the red boundary, so I'll hit save. It's going to draw it out for me. Now, when I hover on that boundary, it's going to give me the acreage. So we don't give you dimensions, we'll at least give you acreage right now. There's another nuance that I think is important for you to be aware of. And that is situations like this where we have Russell Klein and he owns 2 properties that are contiguous. We want to draw out one boundary. I'm going to click on one of Russell's, and instead of choosing the blue save boundary button, I'm going to choose this button just to the right, the black select more parcels. Then I'll select the additional properties and I'll merge and make that boundary. That'll just draw out one nice boundary for me. Okay. Yeah, 40.6. Now, for basic map making, we need to create a boundary to really build a basic map for the most part of the property or the properties we're wanting to keep track of. Once we have that boundary built, here's my top suggestion for you all. Is the parcel layer is now going to get in my way. Okay, and by that I mean every time I try to click on the map, it's going to pull up property information. That's not what I want anymore. I want to concentrate on the left side here. So I want to turn them off. And I do that in the top right on that parcel button. One of the top things I recommend Just turn off the parcel layer after it served its function. Otherwise, it'll just get in your way. It's going to make the rest of analyzing everything that much more difficult. Okay. Now, once we're to this level, what we care most about is happening down this left side. We have 4 major categories. We have base maps, overlays, map features, and the feature palette. Base maps, just like we were discussing about before. I'm amazed at how many people have very high-end properties for sale, and they've picked the worst aerial. Don't do that. It's super easy for you to go and just cycle through the aerials and see which one is the best. That's all you do is you go to base maps. First thing you do, cycle through and see which ones looks good, which one's most up to date, which one's high res. We even have an infrared one that's more for forestry. And we have the old USGS topos. We have a street map. Okay, but like first things first, go and check out which base map is the best. And then you just save the map on that base map. It'll do all the rest for you. That'll become that map's default base map. Okay, so step 1, pick the right background. Right below that are our overlays. Remember, this is just kind of a la carte, is where we turn on the different overlays, floodplain, wetlands, soils, all of that good stuff. You just turn that on all right here. So we have floodplain running through. If I want to know what it is, typically click on that. Apparently that's not working. So once again, it's like, you know, if I'm checking out this property and I'm going to go and try to talk to the owner about getting a listing for it, how long does it take for me to pull this stuff up, cycle through, you know, see that there's floodplain, a little bit of wetlands. So, you know, is there a water well? Yeah, looks like there is. These are just little things that I could write down as notes to bring up. Nobody else is going to talk to him about that, or her. Present yourself as an informed professional. Very low effort for you to do that. All right. Our feature palette. This is where we can add additional details to our map. And a good way to think of these are all just suggestions. We can change the name and the color on any of these to fit the theme of the map that we're trying to create. And under feature set, we default you on ranching, but you have oil and gas icons and you have a bunch of urban icons too. And it's pretty straightforward. You're going to mark what you see on the map or whatever you want to mark. And if it's good to go, you just click to select and then click to place on the map. I'll usually place the icons off to the side so I don't cover up the structure itself. If I wanted to change the name on anything, so let's say this is an equipment shed. Well, I have a shed shack icon, just place it on the map. Then I click on it. So anything I want to edit that I placed on the map, I hover on it. I'm going to see the name of it. I click on it. It's going to pull up this little like toolbar up in the top right. I always go to the pencil option, change the name or color, and under name, super easy. Change it to whatever I want. If I want to change the color, I can change it right there. Let's save changes, and 99% of the time, save as new feature types. That's what you want to use, our default option. If I hit save changes, you can see that it's only going to change that particular item, that it's going to leave everything else on my map alone. It's going to create a new item in my feature palette too, called equipment shed. That makes sense, everybody? Okay.
Since it's equipment shed, that does not stay there.
Correct. If I made a new map, I'd have to do that again. That won't be the case for forever. All right. And then if I scroll down below, I have all of these lines, same thing. All I do is I click and I can start drawing. And I realize that this is more residential than what you all are dealing with, but I find that it's very minimal effort, and I find value in the just drawing the stuff out, because any lines that I draw out, they're going to give me distances. So I'm starting to kind of track the extent of improvements that exist on a property. And by zooming in and taking the time to do this, and by taking the time, I mean, this will take me about 10 minutes. I can spot other things that I wouldn't have, like that right there. So here I can take this shed shack, I can mark it, go to the pencil option. And, I have that equipment shed down there, and that's green and it's square. So I'm going to use the same icon, but I'm going to turn it to a circle and turn it pink. And so we're using the same icon, but by changing the shape and the color, I'm still able to visually distinguish between the two. Use different colors, different patterns, different shapes to distinguish different items on your map. It doesn't matter if you have one property and you mark one structure, no, but the more content you add to the map, the more important it is for you to have sound map making principles. Anybody can throw a bunch of stuff on a map. It's not hard. The art of map making is, can you throw a bunch of stuff on a map and send it to you, and you can understand it within a few seconds. One of the ways you do that is you utilize different colors, different patterns, different shapes to represent different things, a taxonomy on your map. As I scroll down, I go to my polygons, and these will give me acreages. So as I draw this out, you can see it's starting to give me acreage up there. And I'm just clicking around. And I have a pond tank, same thing. If I click on it, I go to the pencil option, I can rename it.
So that's with any of the polygons.
Uh-huh.
Now, how did you get?
Microphone.
Thank you, Clara.
I'm glad I've got a microphone. Just
How did you get it to and I always run into this problem on measurements. How did you get it to freeze there and then leave that shape? Or can you go through and do another one? Let me just do it like that.
Yep. We'll click. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we add a label so we can auto label? And we can auto label with attributes, or we can auto label just with the name. Very easy for us to do. If I go and I click on this and I go back into the pencil option, I scroll down. If I go to label styles and I hit this little arrow, scroll down, I can just label by the feature name. So if I hit save changes, there's a label right there. So again, scroll to the bottom, expand label style, scroll down. With feature name, that's just saying we're going to label it by this.
Like library from the beginner to advanced use of this, because this is overwhelming for
I know. That's why I started on the Discover side. I'm well aware that even though those of you that have been using this for years, like there's only so much one can process, and I'm opening up the fire hydrant of things you can do, right? So my hope is maybe you remember 5 things, right? But I'm trying to show you what's possible, because maybe you'll remember, hey, this was doable, and I have YouTube videos that you can go pull this stuff up and learn how to do.
Profile, can you save and share the maps or no, or you need to be in the pro profile?
You got to be on the pro profile to do that. Yeah, any line that you do, it's going to give you distances. So as I draw, see right there? Just in your feature palette. On the left side. You see it? Okay. So. Right, you have these three main categories on the Pro style. The feature palette is at the bottom, sorry.
Steve, on the infrastructure, does it show water lines, sewer lines? Or no?
No, maybe someday. You get into like issues with like national security at that point if you're showing too sensitive infrastructure. If that's available, believe me, we want to put it in, but that stuff's hard to come by.
City of Houston, their GIS
You have that?
has all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, on their GIS.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Sometimes you can imagine like giving detailed
Yeah,
infrastructure to the sewer system. We're totally into that though, if we can get it.
Question, on your labels, there may be a way to do this, but when you create an actual label, you go into your tools, your different labeling,
Yep,
and you've got your map set out like this, but then you zoom out, the labels stay static as far as size, which can be, okay, those aren't.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, make a liar out of me.
oh, I know what you're
so-
talking about.
So if I do that way, this weekend when I was doing a thing that showed all the subdivisions, I wanted to make sure that each subdivision around the city of Waller that's coming had its own name.
Yep,
Okay, as far as using a label.
Yep.
But I used the other thing for the boundaries and
Yeah.
subdivision made it unique.
right.
Is there any way to make them to where an individual label will size like that does?
Not right now.
Not yet.
Man, eventually it's harder to do that for whatever reason. At least that's what my developer told me. But I don't see any reason why it won't, but like there's many benefits to doing that. And that's a good example of saying like, okay, we make a map of just this property and there's one label, like it doesn't really matter which one you do. If you make a map of a bunch of subdivisions, it very much matters that you know how to do that because they'll all float. Just to show you that what Claire's talking about. Let me show you. Here's the way I think about it. If at all possible, I have auto labels do all of the heavy lifting of labeling on the map. And I think of the manual label as more of like a conversation piece. So I access the manual labels up there in the top right under tools, under these two T's. And I just click on the map to start drawing them or typing. So what I mean is like a sentence or a statement. By the way, if I hold down Shift and hit Enter, I can go multiple lines. Shift, Enter. And you can drag that over. Well, let me show you the difference. Okay, so I'll label both of these as barns. One is a manual label, one's an auto label. So if I go to barn and I auto label it, I'll click on the pencil, go to label styles, check on feature name, hit save. Now we have barn. If I go up to tools then, and I'll choose this T, click, and I'll write in barn, click and hold and drag that into place. They both look like the same right now, right? See the problem? On Zoom. I don't know. So you see how they don't, the auto or the manual label doesn't, it just floats. Auto labels, they know that they're associated with that particular point, line, or polygon. So when you have a map that has a lot of labels, it's really important to do the auto label. Otherwise, they'll just float all over each other. Yeah.
So I just need to know, you show it, but how I can select another one so I can make two.
Sure. Yeah, so if I click that, instead of hitting the save boundary, I'm going to click this select more parcels. And then you just select the additional ones, merge and make boundary. Yep. Just like that.
All right, Steve. So I kind of want to get back to what Claire was saying. If you were doing the developments like she was doing and setting up the labels where they, if you want to eliminate the float, so you would pick one of the symbols and you would go in and change each you'd take a symbol and rename it for, you know, Centera, rename it for weekly and just have those so they wouldn't float versus doing the manual labeling.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Okay.
You could. I just haven't gotten in. I haven't gotten into attributes here, but you could also just define it as an attribute and label it that way.
Hello, do you also have migratory routes and mineral reserves available on that?
No, migratory routes might be more possible. Like mineral rights. If I had mineral rights, I would be inviting you to my island in the Caribbean right now. Yeah. That's a hard one to map out.
Can you explain to you guys talking about the floating labels? I don't understand exactly.
Sure. So if I label out of the tools right here, these two, it's just like a manual label. You know, I click and I move it into place. And that's what this barn represents right here. And so what I'm showing you is, you see how all of these three labels, they're all sized the same. And like, as I zoom out, you see how they all stay in place. But this one doesn't. You see how it goes further away when I zoom in? This one? Because it's a manual label, it has no idea that it has any reference to that. So it looks great right here. But the moment I zoom in or out, it's not so great. Or, you know, it's like floated over the icon or.
Can you show again how you did the outer label? The purple one.
Yeah. So at a very basic level, I just want to label it what it's called. I add it to the map. I click on that. I click on the icon itself. It pulls up this edit bar. I go to the pencil and I go to label styles down there, and I'm going to check on feature names, save changes.
Are just the ones here on the left?
Yeah. Yep.
But you can edit the picture and make it separate.
Yep. And we do that through the pencil, right? All right, so look. If I want to call this whatever. Everybody follow me? Do we care about soils at all? Okay.
One side.
So running soil reports, that's the way to go as opposed to soil overlay. And you do that up in the top right under reports, that creates soils report option. And we'd run it off boundaries in Texas. And so then I'm just going to click in and I can run it off multiple boundaries. So I just click in, they highlight in blue, and I'm going to hit create report. And that'll break down the soils by acreage percent they occupy. It'll give me weighted averages of the NCCPI and cap ratings. It'll even break it down by specific boundaries too. So this first one is all polygons, but then this one goes in and is just showing me the information for this one. And this one is showing me the information for this one. At the bottom, this gives me the weighted averages of everything. So this is what I was referring to where we'll be adding in the hydric values and the depths of water table values. The hydric values will actually be coming very soon. Yeah. I like to look at it this way. I know it might not always be appropriate for what you all are doing, but this is just a quick way to like translate what the soils mean to somebody. Right here, it has wildlife and forestry after very intense farming with grazing in the middle. Okay, so it's very specific uses, but again, what I like about this is it's easy for anybody to understand like where are the best soils on the property. The darker the green, the better the soil. Okay, so just kind of, it's an easy way to translate it into layman terms to say like, hey, you got pretty good soils. Looks like almost all of them can handle, if I go up to the top, if there's a blue box below it, it can handle whatever is above that. So it's like, all right, so you have a bunch of class 2 soils, class 3 soils. The other thing that's interesting is with these, they have little letters at the end of them. Those are subclasses that tells you what they're most susceptible to. There's 4 major categories. And if you hover over this little question mark, that'll tell you a little bit more about it. So like soil limitation in the rooting zone is S, E is erosion, W is excess water. Okay, so just up in the top right, if you did care about soils, soil reports is where to do it. Okay. So we've created a map, right? And what a map it is. Well, let's go and save it now. And the way we do that is in the bottom right, or bottom left, save as. At a minimum, we have to give our map a name here to save it. The more we fill it out, the better it's going to look on our print and share maps. That map is now on my phone. Remember, they're synced. So I could get driving directions then out there. I could go take photos to add to the map, track myself. And once I save it the first time, I now have an additional option down here. I have the share functionality. And now I have print. So if I wanted to make a high-res PDF or PNG, I just click the print area. That's going to open up this frame. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to center what I want to get printed. I want to make that PDF or PNG. I center it in that frame. And do print a PDF or print a PNG right there.
Right. Wow, it's easy.
These are high res too. They're not screenshots. In the bottom left next to share, you see print area.
Can't follow your lines to make it larger. If you don't want to.
The frame is purposely smaller than the screen.
Yeah.
So you can always see the extent of the print map you're making.
Right, but we can't widen without zooming in and out. We can't change
The dimensions?
what it's, yeah,
No.
okay.
All right, now. But you can zoom in and out. This is one of those where it's actually advantageous to have your laptop. If you're on any aerial besides Google, if you put 2 fingers on your mouse pad and you slide up and down, you see you have true continuous zoom. So you have ultimate control in framing the map. So 2 fingers on your mouse pad, just slide them up and down. You'll see you have true continuous zooming. Hey, you have all these different options down the left side. So just, you want to change the base map, you want to make a floodplain themed print map. Super easy. At a basic level, just think, whatever's in that frame, that's what you're going to get. Just when I click on print area down there, frame will automatically come up.
Wow.
And then to exit print, I just hit that X. Okay. For me, print maps are a necessary evil. I get it, like you gotta have print maps, but the interactive map is so much better, right? You share the interactive map through the share button. And this is one of our main focuses. So, when, internally at Land ID, we ask like, okay, what do? We want you to allow you to easily discover, create, and share. That's what we're focused on, is to really, it's focusing on advancing search and allowing you to go find properties with certain characteristics and dimensions and to make maps quickly out of those. But then very much on this side is to revamp the share experience and to make sharing very, very easy for you to do with your clients, colleagues, whoever. So when we click share, the two most popular ones, although the email maps just as popular, here's the copy link and embed maps. Copy link, all you're doing is you hit copy right there. It's just a copy and paste. So you can open up your own email and you just copy it in and say like, hey, Steve, check out this awesome property that I just made a map of. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay. The embed map, we have a lot of people that'll embed these into their websites. If you're on like land.com or Landbroker MLS, Land Search, any of that stuff, they take our embed so you can replace their standard map and the listing with our map. You can also plug this into your own website too. I've seen a lot of people also do the copy link and put this in virtual tours for MLSs, things like that. And that's why we have the unbranded option there. So it doesn't have your branding on there. So you can put it in MLSs. Another interesting thing with Hexagon, we have written copyright permission for you to use the images in MLSs. And we're happy to provide you a written letter to your MLS about that. That's a very rare. Exactly. We can provide you that if you need to, and you can put the PDFs and all of that. I can give you a letter for all. Yeah, yeah. It's a stock letter anyway. Yeah, yeah. If we want to see what the interactive map is going to look like before we send it off to somebody, very easy for us to do. It's this little blue black button at the bottom, that preview map button. That's just going to open up another tab in your browser, and this is the share map experience that somebody will have when you send it off to them. There's a lot of great things about the share map. Okay, one is if I send yeah. Yeah, that's where you do it in your account details. Remember? Yeah. Yep. At a minimum, if I didn't include anything else, the boundary, I have an aerial, I have a location map, so I can zoom in and out. I have access to the base map, so I have an infrared aerial, I have a topo, I have a street background. In the map legend, I have access to all the overlays. So I have a floodplain map, I have a soils map, transmission lines, all of that stuff I can go and turn on right here. Contours. You can seriously create a 20-page PDF of each individual thematic map, or you can just send them one interactive map. They can turn on the soil report themselves, access it. We have little tools right here where they could draw out their own area. Let's say they wanted to measure the frontage. They can do that as well. So they can't edit your share map. They can interact with it. No, but that's a cool idea. See why not? It's just adding in the Z plane to measure. So yeah, I think we could.
Can you show them how to embed the last time you were here, you showed how to, if you wanted to embed photos or a video or whatever to a property?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Steve made reference to this before. one of the great things is these maps, they update in real time. So you could send this off to somebody. And then let's say we made an edit and we add something to the map. Or we edit the shape of a boundary. When we hit save, we don't have to resend this map out. We don't have to re-embed it. The map updates automatically. So if I'm on the phone with my client and they have the share map up and I just made those changes, all they have to do now is refresh the page and they'll see the updates automatically. So you see the adjustments? It updates in real time. Can make it really fast for you to get a map right, or conversing with your client as opposed to marking up a PDF with a Sharpie and scanning it. By the way, two other random tools that you're probably not aware of that are really nice. Do y'all ever need to like cut up properties, like proposed divisions of properties, anything like that? Okay. So if you draw in a property, any polygon, and you go up to tools, this little scissor option, the cut tool, I can cut this however I want. I just start outside the boundary and then I double click to finish.
Measure the new surface.
Yeah,
Look at that.
that'll be phase 2 of this where
Give you the boundary.
32, 30. I want it when it cuts to actually show you because you have to finish the cut to then find out. Yeah, that's all like phase 2 is to say, I'm going to take a property, cut this into 3 10-acre slices. It's not there yet. I'm equally as disappointed. That's what I want to do is like, can you get it to cut certain acreages? And then if you're doing manual cuts, can it just show you? And then can you edit that to get it to where you want it? Yes.
The mic. I have properties in Costa Rica. Goes this beyond United States?
Oh yeah, yeah.
The addresses in these countries are difficult, but let's
Well-
say I do have the coordinates. Can I find the address? Where do I put the coordinates?
Yeah, so it's going to have an aerial. It'll be like the MB satellite or Google work. And then you can draw anywhere in the world. And in the search by latitude, longitude. But it's not going to have parcel data. Does that make sense? Like if I wanted to, I could go to I like how we went from Costa Rica to Bahrain. Right, like I don't have any overlays or anything, but I have an aerial. I can come down here. I can pick one of these boundaries. And voila, I have a map of a property in Bahrain.
And all that.
Now you know what the deadline for next.
Yeah, you could be instrumental in initiating peace through land ID. Screw selling commercial properties. You're solving world problems. That's right. Yeah. Where were you 10 years ago, Steve? That'd be good PR, land ID. It's one of my favorite buttons. It's this little button right here next to 3D. Wherever I'm at, I press that. That'll always send me back to the stuff I've made on the map. So it's a really good way to just get a quick overview of the map you've made. Right? Like if I want to go and check out something over here, I don't have to go manually find what I've been drawing elsewhere. I just hit that button, it takes me right back. Yeah, that one right there.
Same.
Right, well, this could also be a good indicator that you've saved something on your map that you didn't mean to, because watch, if I do something like this. And it zooms out like that, that means that I have something on my map.
It's a little.
Now watch.
What you do? How'd you do? I mean, because.
Okay, look, like I've placed something inadvertently over here. And then this button right there, it's always trying to fit what I've added to the map. All right, so if I get an unexpected zoom level, it's because I have something on that map that's causing that unexpected zoom level. All right. By the way, like that's the zoom level that the share map will load. Right, so if I go and hit save, remember these update in real time, guess what? When I load this, it's going to stay zoomed out. Right? So when you see that, you can be positive that you have something on the opposite corner of where you know. Right? And then if you delete it, you can test that theory by clicking this button, and you see how it zooms back in.
Is there any way, I mean, if you're doing parcels? But if I have parcels on a map and I have one up that I just happened to mark up in the far left-hand corner and then everything's down the right, I can't even see it. I can't see the parcel unless I marked it with a star.
So something like this.
I'll go back. A lot of times, on a bigger map, like in Houston, a lot of times you can't see that little.
Yeah, here, I'll go further. Yeah, so I go to map features then. And then I can hit this little target. So you see down here under boundaries, it can get more complex here because we all have all 5. But what I would do is to get into the weeds here, I wouldn't necessarily, let's pretend like I can't see that, right? I know one of these is a problem, but I don't know which one for sure. So what I would start to do is I just hit these little targets. You see how each one's zooming to each one? So then if I come down to here and you see how this will zoom me out, I now know that it's in that layer. I know the problem's in that layer. Now what I could do is, and this is gonna just confuse everybody probably. I could create a fake attribute. I'm not gonna do this. This will be very confusing to everybody.
I just have to kind of start zooming in and hope I can see it. Because if it's a real, like a third, if you're looking at a hard corner. You got 1 acre.
Yeah.
If you had 4 properties. And I know, but I'm speaking loud. If you had 4 properties.
Keep going.
If you had 4 properties and you sent that map and they're on different areas of Houston, back to Steve's point, how would what's another way for the client to be able to see the properties that you've highlighted on the map? Or do you need to put another image like a star out there to where it helps focus from a distance? Because you see
I think I understand. So you're saying you have 4 properties on different parts of the city? Yeah. Yeah,
That's
Good.
whenever I use labels. If you use labels, they're gonna stay bigger. And you'll be able to see where the outline is. And then as you zoom in, you can start to see it better.
yeah. I would do labels are the star. That's one of the improvements we're gonna make is essentially allow you to kind of set a fly through of a map. So you could then have it zoom in to each one to identify and do a better job of like highlighting that. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I wanted to ask is if we want to use a certain label important and add there, is it possible? So let's say just out of blue, so you said some attribute that you don't have the label for it. Throw an example, let's say there is highway passing through it. And then we pull the label of that highway in and want to add there. Is it possible to do that?
I think so. Are you saying like you just draw a line or you actually have an image you want to reference in?
An image that I want to show that it's
Okay. Let me get through the photo upload and then I'm gonna get to that. That's because that's like an all-time great thing that we have. Okay. I like this guy's maps. Here's an example of an embed. You can go full screen. I bring this up because he does a really good job of, he's a good example where I could show you several now. I realize this is farm and ranch forestry related, but you won't find a single map of his that doesn't look like this. And I realize like you're dealing with different types of properties that may not warrant this kind of thing. I do think that photo points can go on any type of property. Like there is always value to send an interactive map and be able to see that photo point, pull up the photo right where you took it. It's just giving that spatial context. If it's 1 acre, 100 acres, I think it's really high value for people. And it's super easy to do through the mobile app. But that's exactly what he's got here. And this is where you can kind of think of this as your virtual listing package. What does he have? He has his photos, his videos, his soil report. He has documentation attached to it. He sends us off. It has everything in the listing page and then some. And what you're able to do is when you tap on that, you know now where the heck that photo is. So we've never been out to this property, but you see how much more informative it is for you to understand, like that's what it looks like up there. As opposed to you have 40 photos and a Rolodex slide of a listing page. It gets so much more informative for me to associate a place with that photo. For me, it's the number one thing. If you're going to add anything beyond the boundary, it's the photos with photo points. It's the number one thing. Remember how you do it on the phone, right? Like you just tap and that little blue button, go to photos, take your photos. It'll do all the work for you. Even on the Discover map, waypoint, you hit the photos, take your photos. Yeah, in a way. Yeah, you can upload videos too. Let's see here. Here's an embed where they've got the map loaded with the pano. Is that what you're referring to? So, we have this pano upload option. If I click into any pano, that'll take me into that particular pano. I think that's super cool too. You don't have to have a drone to do that. This is a camera that I recommend. Insta360. Yeah. Super easy. It's like $500. And that'll do regular photos, 360 photos. You don't have to have a drone. What does that mean? Like the website or the site itself? Well, I mean, yeah, you would. Is that a lot to ask? Are you not going there anyway? Gotcha. In most circumstances, though, I mean, you could, at minimum, take a photo, right? You don't have to do the full 360.
Yeah. Like the little tripods,
Yep,
you can sit that on,
correct.
rotate 360.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I don't have the tripod, but if you all want to see what the camera is, I mean, it fits in your pocket. It's this big.
That's it.
That's it. It's not anything massive. Smaller than your phone.
It's the little bubble.
Camera. Oh, this thing? Just protection. How many of you all do 360 photos? Okay. Yeah. I mean, drones do it too. It's perfectly fine. Still, it's like 3 people, 2.5 people do it. Less than 10%. I do these polls to reinforce the idea that like the bar is incredibly low to go beyond the boundary of a map to differentiate yourself. And if you're smart about this, you can look at this way to brand yourself. And with the consistency of it, you can start to get bigger and better listings because you start to create a library of how you're different and market properties differently. I know several people that do this in the farm and ranch world. So you got to think like, all right, yeah, it's a little bit of work. It's not anything crazy. And the beautiful thing is, like, it's just enough work to where 99% of people won't do it. I always look at those things as great opportunities. Because I know nobody else is going to do that. It's really not that bad. This is my poster child for this. I know these are ranch people, but I feel like it's a transcendent theme in real estate. This is the first person I ever heard tell me that he makes this map before he goes to the listing. And I realize, like, you guys aren't selling polo fields. I guarantee you he wasn't either when he first started. He won all of these awards at the Texas Outlook Conference. That's the big one for all the farm and ranch guys in Texas. He won all these awards back in like 2016. He's younger than me. He's like 30 when he did that. And he came up to me and he told me, he's like, yeah, he's like, your program is a big part of what I do. I make this map before I go to the listing presentation. I pull it up on my iPad Pro. We go walk the boundaries. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. So he uses land ID consistently and uses it as a way to differentiate and brand himself. Now, just take a look at this. Like, this is not some guy that's his dad was a big ranch broker and he moved in, started doing it and got all the greatest listings. Look at the pricing on that. Do you think that the 30 minutes it takes him to make that map is worth the commissions? That's what I'm telling you, like, okay, yes, it's gonna take you 15 extra minutes to go out there and take a picture or whatever. If you got one extra listing, $1 million listing, who here? If I gave you the equivalent of a commission off of $1 million, wouldn't give me 15 minutes of your time. Think about it that way. So we can add photos through the website, like on the phone, that's pretty easy. We can just take them out on the phone. It'll do all the work for us. If we want to add photos to our maps from the website, we can do it on any of our points. I can add a photo point. I can click on it and then I just go to that little camera right there. And then I'll upload up to 5 photos per point. So then I would just select file. I could also upload videos. So there's a YouTube or Vimeo. I just paste the link in there. What was that again? Yeah. So any of the points I add, if I click on them, you know, that bar comes up. See the camera? Just click there, and then you just hit that little bar. If you have Matterport or anything like that, you can add those 2 points as well. So you can just click that little cube and then paste the Matterport link in. And then if we were going to upload those 360s, you have to do that through the panoramic viewpoint. So it's right there. When you place that on the map, click on it and you go to this little icon right there, panoramic view, and you just upload. You can actually draw out the boundary on the pano image too. So you could show the boundary on that pano. I'm not going to get into attributes today, because I think we've all learned enough already. I'm going to do one more thing though, which is the CSV creation. So you can create mailer lists. As I mentioned before, we're working on, I would expect before the end of the year, we'll have phone numbers and emails available for contacts. They'll probably show up in 2 places, okay? If we pull this off right, one is in the CSV creation, but honestly, I want it to show up too. Like if you're driving around and you tap on a property, and you have that property card pull up, to be able to just be able to have access to their phone number, email right there. There's a variety of creepy data providers that we're sorting through right now. Data Zap, Data ZAPP, and Dotto. They're available. Yeah. Yeah, I've done we've tested out the matches on Data Zap and they've been very, very good. 2 Ps. What do you all use? Okay.
It's okay, but it, have a whole lot of bad numbers because people get tired of getting phone calls from people like us. And they change.
Sure. These will give you 5 phone numbers. So I actually looked up myself, and the most recent one is legit. And then it's like they had ones from when I lived with my parents. Like it goes way back. Yeah. So not all of them, but like it'll give you a library of them, not just one. I don't know if White Pages just gives you one. Yeah. So it was very interesting to me. I can't imagine that there's that many groups that have the resources to go pull this stuff. So I'm keeping that in mind. Like it's the illusion of choice. There might be 100 companies that say they'll give you skip tracing data, but they're all just getting it from like two groups or something, maybe. DataZap, I've personally seen very successful match rates in rural areas too.
Is that what you're doing right now, is checking them to make sure that they're?
We're vetting out like just trying to find like who's available, what's the pricing options, how good is the data, right? And it's hard to vet. If you do mailers, you can come up to reports and you can export owner lists by CSV. So this way, I think the two most obvious ones will be polygon and line. So I can just draw a polygon around an area. And then I have these little fields so I can get them down there. It's 7 cents per address. I get charged. So you have to get charged, unfortunately. And you generate the CSV, that'll send you a deduped list that's formatted for mailers. We'll add in the phone numbers and emails to that too.
You get charged, we don't.
No.
No, no. That's why you get charged. It'll just, I just have a bypass on my account. So when you do that, it'll say like, we return 400 addresses. This would be the total. Do you want to proceed?
What it is. Here again, the commission.
Yeah, for sure.
That's for residential, which, that's an easy way to do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Up in the top right, export owner list to CSV.
When you get that, you don't see it right away, it goes to y'all, and you determine whether that's something you want, or can you just get those addresses?
No, I mean, it's pretty instantaneous. It just generates the CSV and then it'll email it to you, but you can also access it in your dashboard under prints and reports. So if you go to parcel reports, there's the one I just ran. I could download the file.
But once you download it, then that's what you're paying the 7 cents for.
Yeah, well, you can download as many times as you want. Per document. But per entry, per address. Yep.
We're not doing that on, that's just.
It'll be both. And we'll be able to one-off it, hopefully, or create a CSV. It'll give you all of it. Okay. Any additional questions on anything? Oh, what I like to concentrate on is, all right, so can you utilize the Discover map on mobile? You know, you can create a map out of that. You know that the Discover map's accessible up there. You know, they're synced together. Can we make like boundary maps? We know that if we click on parcels, we'll get the different overlays. We just cycle through the parcel card. And then can we take some photos with the app? If we could do that out of this class, that's a win, and you're beating 99% of the people that use this app. Bar's low. Yeah. Yep. And remember, if you're interested in signing up for the Pro Unlimited plans, in the discount code, you just do KW-2024. KW-, I'll put it in the search by map name. So it's.
Probably have some here that are not.
Just don't tell the computer when you put it in. All right, so you can always just Google Land ID YouTube tutorials. Also, in any of the maps that you create, in the bottom right, right below the 3D, you have this little question mark. That'll open up the Help Center. And you can just click here, tutorials on YouTube too. And their videos, you know, dang it. This is the georeference tool. This is the one thing I forgot. This is one of the coolest things. We're about to add this on mobile where you can actually see yourself walking on surveys and site plans. That should be out mid-June. So up in the top right under tools, this georeference tool, you can overlay surveys on your map.
That is, okay, so how do we add that?
All right, I'll go through it really fast.
So now you've touched on something a lot of us are doing outside of Houston, lots of farm and ranch land.
Trying to make it fit.
Just to show you, if you have site plans, you can do that too.
Hey, so if you get something from a building.
See, everybody just wants
If you get.
If you get something from a builder, you can overlay what they have on the map,
their site
Yeah,
on that-
absolutely.
on your own map.
Uh-huh.
plan. Yay.
Yeah.
We're now.
Do that.
We're now locked in.
Okay, all right, I'll show you how to do this. I'm gonna make this look really easy. I just say that because like legitimately, I will make this look easy and then you'll go do it. You'll go do it and like, it won't go as easy for you. It's just the same thing as like, all right, look, this is gonna be my 10,000th time to reference in a survey. If you've never referenced in one before, it's gonna take a little bit of time to get used to. But like, you know, it's like everything else in life. If I was teaching you how to play guitar today, guess what? You're going to suck at guitar after this class. That doesn't mean you throw the guitar away and you never do it again, right? Correct. Georeference. Oh my gosh. No, I'm just, keep in mind, I'm not on my computer. I'm on the class computer. So I've got to go into a save map where I already have an image in there. Otherwise, if I was on my computer, I would just pull it up and I'll walk you through the same process. So, all right. You know, the first thing we have to do, we have to find the area where we're going to make the georeferenced image or, you know, overlay the survey or the site plan. So, you know, on surveys in Texas, it's always going to reference an abstract. Every single one of them references an abstract. You can come up to the search by and you can search for that abstract. So that will automatically zoom you into the area where that survey is going to be.
So the abstract, you already have that in the file that we're searching. You have all the abstracts because of what?
Yeah, it's just we have all the abstracts for Texas loaded and you can search by those. And so every single, the original Texas land survey is abstracts. So every single property in Texas references the original Texas land survey and it references an abstract. So every single survey that you get references an abstract, like 100%. So what I'm telling you is you can go find the area where that survey is because that's step number one. If you're going to reference in the survey on the map, you need to find out where the heck the place is you're referencing. Search by address or search by abstract is the way to do it a lot of times. Does that make sense to everybody?
You can find the abstract in the legal description.
Correct.
If you have the legal, it will give you the abstract.
Even if you have a plat, the plat's going to reference it too. So you go up to tools in the top right, and it's this furthest left option. It's the georeference tool. And you can put in multiple images in one map as well. So if you need to reference in 3, you can do that. I already have this one in. Like I said, I'm not on my home computer, so I'm not doing it from scratch. But all you do is you hit add image right there and go find the survey. It just can't be a PDF. You need to turn it into a JPEG or PNG, something like that. You can do that really easily. You can just Google, PDF to JPEG converter free. They're all over the place. They're super easy to use. Here, I'm going to delete these lots too. So we'll start from scratch. Correct.
And people who are hanging on are going, oh, wow, I'm glad I'm here.
Save the best for last. Almost forgot about it. Okay, look, so when you first bring in the image, it's going to look like that.
That's a survey that you got from your client.
Wherever. I don't know. I don't know where you get your surveys. Not here to judge. That's crazy. That's crazy that they're doing that now, by the way. They're copywriting surveys, so you have to go back and get new surveys every time. Yeah, that's nuts. Oh, like I just want to stress, you saw I had a site plan in, right? It can be anything. I've seen people load in grazing allotments in Utah, like an old picture. Anything that is a JPEG, you can reference. Surveys just are usually going to be the thing that you do. So when you bring it in, first of all, when I bring it in, I have a red square and I have 3 white squares around the corners, right? The red square, if I hover on it, it has that little curved arrows. That just allows me to rotate if I need to. The white ones, those allow me to scale the size. So if I click and hold on it, scaling. I don't care about getting this perfect. I just kind of want to get it like a little close. It makes it easier to geo-reference. And here's the best way to describe this to you all is, think about this. Like, let's imagine that this desk is the aerial and this is the survey. Okay. I'm going to put it on the desk and let's say I have 3 push pins and this is like rubbery. I have 3 push pins. I'm going to put a push pin here. I'm going to put a push pin here. It's going to stretch out on the aerial. That's all we're doing with control points. You follow me? Like, just keep that in mind. That's all control points are. I think sometimes you can get it in your head and make these things too complex. Just imagine this is a rubber and a control point is a push pin, right? So the golden rules of adding control points, because this is what we do to reference this stuff in, is we don't ever want to add more than 3 control points. And we want to space them as far away from each other as possible. And we want to stay away from putting a control point in the middle of the survey if possible. Because think about that, right? If I came back here and I have 3 push pins to stretch this out, what happens if I put all 3 of them like right up here, all right next to each other in the top left corner? Does that stretch out the image? No, right? Ideally, I want one here, here, like here, because that's going to stretch it out. Same idea. Now, what happens if I put one in the middle? Does that stretch it at all? That's why I want to avoid the middle. It's like the same, literally just think of it as rubber and those are push pins that stretch it out. So the name of the game is we need to find 3 places we can identify on the survey and the aerial. 90% of the time that I'm doing this, I'm usually using intersections of roads on surveys. Because you can almost always see intersections of roads very easily on the aerial, and they almost are always on the peripheral parts of the survey. Just point that out because I don't do that on this one. But I'm looking for very exact corners of things. That's the way you think about it. So, right here, we have a road running to the north and it references it right there, but it's too gradual of a curve. I can't pinpoint that to say this is the exact place of this road here and here. So I won't use it. Follow me? I want to find like a jagged edge, pencil line, a road intersection, if I feel like the survey's done well enough and they have structures, I'll do a corner of a structure. But I want to find very exact points. Okay. So in this one, I have an electric line running through this property, and it's this E. And I love that I have an intersection right there. So I'm going to use, for two of my control points, I'm going to use this electric line right here. Okay. I've done this one, so what I would do next is say, like, can I find that electric line on the aerial? I have to find it on the aerial too. Now, before I add in, when I add this in, I don't have a control point. You see, if I click and hold, it moves. If I want to lock it into place so it doesn't move, I just hit the little lock and then it won't move. Just as a tip, it can get annoying. Once you add one control point, it's locked, but until then, it can move around. And the opacity bar is your friend, okay? So what I'm gonna go do is I'm gonna find that electric line. That's the electric line. It dead ends to the property right there. So whatever I'm looking for on the survey, I always look on the survey first. And I'm like, okay, I probably can go find that on the aerial. And then I try to go find that on the aerial. So what I've done is I said, all right, this electric line dead ends right there. I just found out where it dead ended on the aerial. Follow me? You saw? Okay. So it's always this. And this is where you just think of this as a push pin. And this is why, like, I generally just zoom it in to where it'll make it easier for me to add in the push pins, the control points. I click add control point over here. Always survey first. And all I'm saying is, hey, survey, click. That's not the right place. And I can drop this opacity down to 0 and say, actually survey. That's right there. And then I click. And when I go back, you see how it's moved. Okay, so I got one in place. Now, what I love to see are intersections and sharp corners. And so I've got an intersection of this electric line into another electric line. So now I'm pretty sure I can go find that intersection. So I'll just drop the opacity down. And I can follow that electric line down, down, down to the intersection right there. Everybody see that? Okay. So same thing, click on the survey first. I click add control point. I say, hey, survey. Click. That's not the right spot. The intersection is right here. Click. Now we're starting to get much more accurate overlay. Now we've added 2 control points on the right side. Where do I want to add the 3rd control point? I've had all possible. It's on the left side, right? Like in the perfect world, you got to find 3 things that you can identify on the aerial. Like that's paramount. That's the first step. Can you spread them out and stay away from the center? That's secondary. That's ideal. Okay, look, so we have this fence line right here, a zigzag. Love it. I love that. It's not horseshoes and hand grenades here. We want to be as exact as possible. Okay, so we see the zigzag. And then we can identify that zigzag right there. So I'll just hit add control point, and then I click on the survey. Survey, you're in the wrong spot. It actually is right there. And now we have a very accurate overlay. I'm going to make that look really easy. I told you. It is, I promise. If you do it enough, if any of you gave me a survey, I could probably reference it within 15 minutes or less on that. It's actually the surveys that are just like rectangular and they're undeveloped lands. Those are the tough ones to get. And that brings me to my next topic.
So you're getting a JPEG.
Huh.
Putting it on the screen, and whenever you lighten it up, you can see through it.
Yeah.
You can still see your lines.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it's gonna sound weird, but it's almost like sewing. You're sewing two things together.
Sure.
and they have to
Yeah,
be
exactly.
together.
Same thing.
Then you're putting that on the picture.
Yeah.
And then you're going under and going, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's here and it pulls it over.
That's correct. Yeah, that's the way you get it. You got to have it precise.
It's size.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Clara sewed as a little girl.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that. You'll never get it. You'll spend like an hour doing that. Look, if you have meets and bounds description, so all of these plats have meets and bounds descriptions. Just want to show you all real fast. We have a full deed drawer. So if you take any of the boundaries here and you click on the map, you can see this deed drawer button appears up in the top right. You can actually plug in the calls too. And it can handle curves. So if you have a curve call, you can do that too. And it can do feet, chains, poles, rod, perches, various. Yeah. So you can use them in combination with the georeference tool. Where I find it useful is like if it's just a bland rectangle and it's just forestry land and there is no definable way to georeference in, then I can draw out the meets and bounds and I know at least dimensionally it's correct. And then I can use the georeference tool to try to make it locationally correct. So you can use them together if you need to.
Turn on parcels.
No, it does not.
But it's more apt for the parcels to be wrong.
Oh, yeah. It would scare the crap out of you if you reference in every survey. I mean, this is just, all the data originates from the counties. It's a government worker who's not getting paid very much. They're not getting surveys and drawing this stuff out. I'll just point this out. That isn't even the right angle. There is no indention in the legal survey. I mean, it's worth your time just to do this, just to be sure you have it right.
So you could actually take this, draw your lines.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's exactly, I'll do this real fast because I know we're over time, but this is where the cut tool comes into play, right? I don't have to draw out each lot. I can just draw out the perimeter. Now, if I'm doing this for real, I'm zoomed in and I'm drawing it out right on the line. But instead of drawing out each lot, just draw out the perimeter. Then select that boundary, come up to tools, go to the scissor tool, and then just cut the lots.
Here's more accurate than parcels.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, legal survey always wins. Like I said, forever it hadn't shown up on mobile. By mid-June, any images you reference will show up on the mobile app, which is, you can seriously see yourself walking on your site plan or survey in real time. We have a very, anybody heard of like Discovery Land Group? They do crazy high-end developments across the world. Like, you know, George Clooney buys a place there, ridiculous stuff. The place in Driftwood, keep forgetting I'm not in Austin. Anyway, ridiculous stuff. They use us for this purpose and their big Bahamas development because they're having trouble selling their lots in the Bahamas because they couldn't ever show people where lot lines were. So we were able to geo-reference in their lot lines, draw out their parcels, and then they're using our mobile app on the iPad when they're out there so that they can show people when they hit the lot boundary. Okay,
It's amazing.
thank you. We'll continue to build on it.
Yeah. Is there an ability to add an audio file?
Pretty interesting.
Can you add that?
That'd be
mean,
pretty
if you
cool. So
could
you could
do-
like have a walkthrough audio file on the share map.
Well, if you wanted to use you have realtors who will do an audio file and attach it to their listing. We use,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, is there a way to up an MP4? Not
No.
yet?
No, I'm not against it.
Can we like send a request?
Please. Yeah.
Cool, all right.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Look, so on the YouTube page, that's the one to watch for surveys, site plans. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Cool.